What is up, guys? It's your boy Sports Runs on Diesel here. And today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming NBA season. I'm going to take each episode division by division here. So we're going to start off with the Atlantic Division here. I'm not going to go into too much detail because let's just be real. You guys all know what has happened, who stayed on the team, who left the team, who they added onto the team. Obviously I'll get into some detail about, but I'm not going to jump into exclusive detail about how each player is going to affect the team and yada, 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 unless it's a team that I think could go deep into the playoffs. But we'll start up with the Boston Celtics here. We got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Marcus Smart. Those are the key guys that are returning back. Obviously, we know they lost Kyrie, Horford, Rozier, Morris, Baines, etc. We know they lost all those key guys, and then they added Kemba Walker, Enes Kanter, a rebounder who I definitely think that they needed because last year they were bottom 5 in rebounds a game. And now that you got a tenacious, not just defensive rebounder, but offensive rebounder who can get you 10 to 15 rebounds a night, now that's better for, it's going to be better for this team, and they'll be able to finish off defensive possessions and even keep possessions alive in the offensive end. I do love the energy that they brought here in the preseason, especially from the guys that most of the guys that they drafted and the guys they picked up. Curious to see how Taco Fall is going to do. They signed him to a 2-way contract. I don't think they'll have him at the beginning of the season. They'll probably bring him down and see if they'll bring him up later on in the year if they need him. But the biggest addition, obviously, is Kemba Walker. A guy who averages 20, at least 20 points a game, definitely averages over 6 assists a game. And he brings a level of unselfishness that I think Kyrie does not bring. But with that being said, Kyrie did average a career high last year with the Boston Celtics, 7 assists a game, along with his 24 points a game. But I just think that there's going to be more ball movement, and that in this league, ball movement is everything. Yeah, we know practically almost all the star players are great one-on-one, but when you add and incorporate ball movement like Golden State, who averages almost 30 assists a game last year, that adds another level of offensive power to your team pretty much, and then it makes it more difficult for the defense to keep up with the passing ability. So that's what I think Kemba Walker is going to do, and they already have chemistry, guys. Think about it. They had the FIBA World Tournament during the summertime with Kemba, Smart, Jaylen, and Tatum. So it's like these 4 guys already have chemistry, and they're going to already be in mid-season form going into this NBA season. They got a tall task, though, to start the regular season off. They play the 76ers. I will be going over my prediction and what I think their record's going to be. Right now, my prediction is at 50-32 on the season. I think they're going to be right around the same in terms of wins and losses. Last year, they were 49-33. But this year, I think they'll I believe they will get 50 wins this year. But that's all I have them at right now because I think Milwaukee and the 76ers are going to be a step ahead, are going to be talent-wise ahead of them overall. But next, I'm just going to go team after team here in each division. Like I said, I'm doing the Atlantic Division here. We're going to go down to the Philadelphia 76ers, who were 51-31 last year. They got Embiid, Simmons, and Tobias Harris, who are staying there from last year's team. They did lose Jimmy Butler to Miami. J.J. Redick's now in New Orleans. T.J. McConnell and Boban Marjanovic, they also lost him as well. But with that being said, they did add Al Horford, who is, I think, one of the best overall big men in the league. I think almost a cheat code to defend Giannis Antetokounmpo, like it showed last year in Game 1 of that Eastern Conference semifinals between the Celtics and the Bucks. Al Horford played phenomenal defense in Game 1, and then Giannis started to figure out the defense, and there you go, 4 straight wins for Milwaukee, and Boston's out of the playoffs. But with that being said, Al Horford adds another level of passing ability, shooting ability to this Philadelphia 76ers team. They did get Josh Richardson from Miami, and then there's Trey Burke as well that they added in free agency. I love the additions. We all know about the draft picks, blah, blah, blah. The same thing with the Celtics. We all know about their draft picks. I'm going to keep it short and sweet with draft picks and stuff. So for me, with all that being said, the 76ers, I have them going 55-27 on the season. It's a step up a little bit from last year's 51-31 on the season. So I do believe the 76ers will make a step up. And I do believe they will contend. It will be them or the Milwaukee Bucks for that one seed. They'll be going back and forth all season long, I think, unless one team gets real hot. But right now, the 76ers have the best starting five, and this is why I have them ahead of the Boston Celtics in this division, and they will win the division because of their starting five looks ridiculous right now. You know, you got Simmons, Tobias Harris, Embiid, and Al Horford. You know, still curious to see who's going to be in that starting shooting guard position. Only time's going to tell who's going to step up and be in that role, but I love the starting five, 4 out of the starting 5. They easily have the best starting 5 out of the whole entire NBA right now, in my opinion. I think they do. But 76ers 55-27 on the season. Next, we have the Brooklyn Nets here. We got Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, who has been a spectacular player, especially the last couple of seasons. He's kind of caught people off guard. And he's becoming a very good, solid player here in the NBA. Can get to the rim, can shoot the ball, can do whatever he wants on the offensive end. So he's becoming a great player. There's obviously Joe Harris, and then there's Jared Allen. They lost D'Angelo Russell. I thought that was a big loss, but they did get Kyrie Irving, and they got Kevin Durant. They did lose Hollis Jefferson, Allen Crabbe, Jared Dudley, DeMar Carroll. They lost all these guys. But when you add Kyrie and Kevin Durant, obviously Kevin Durant's not going to be here this season unless he comes late in the season. If Brooklyn makes the playoffs, there's a likelihood that he could start playing in the playoffs. But when you have that Achilles injury, it's best to take the whole season off because you want this guy back healthy, like you saw in last year's playoffs with Kevin Durant. They thought he came back too soon. Everyone's hinging upon he came back too soon, and what happens? Ruptures that Achilles, and the rest is history. But they also added DeAndre Jordan from the New York Knicks. I thought that was a big pickup. I think that's a great pickup. You're talking about a guy who can get you about 8 to 10 points a game and get you about 12 to 15 rebounds a game as well. So, and a good shot blocker as well. Very athletic. They also added Wilson Chandler, Taurean Prince, Garrett Temple. But with all these acquisitions, and like I said, there's no Kevin Durant. I have him at 43-39, which is only one win more than last year's 42-40. So don't go all in on Brooklyn Nets right now at this moment. I think that they're going to be a good team, but when Kevin Durant shows up, then they're going to be a great team, especially now that you got Kyrie and Kevin Durant on the same team. They'll be a 50-plus win team, even 55-plus wins, especially in the weak Eastern Conference that I think is getting stronger and stronger as we go along here. So that's the Brooklyn Nets, 43-39. Next, we have the Toronto Raptors, our NBA champs from last year. We know about them losing Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green. They did lose Jeremy Lin. But they had a lot of guys returning from last year's team. Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Kyle Lowry, Patrick McCaw, Norman Powell, Pascal Siakam, the most improved player of the year, and Fred VanVleet, who came into the league undrafted. And look at him now. He was lighting up teams, was a menace on defense against Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, whoever he was guarding out of the two. But, I love this Raptors team. This Raptors team is obviously on the decline because you lose Kawhi Leonard and you lose a great perimeter defender and three-point shooter in Danny Green. So they went 58-24 last year. We know they won the title last year. This year I have them at 42-40, which I think is low on my side, but I'm not giving up. I'm not putting too much high expectations on this team because they're a long shot to win the NBA title again this year, especially with everyone out west. And I'll get to the West in later episodes. But right now, Toronto Raptors have them at 42-40. I believe they will sneak in and make the playoffs. I mean, in the East, you only have to be a 500 ball club and you'll make the playoffs. And I believe the Toronto Raptors are a little bit higher than a 500 ball club, which I have them going into the playoffs barely. But after that, obviously, we don't need to talk about the last team in the Atlantic Division. You guys all know who it is. It's the New York Knicks, the team that's been very disappointing. You know, they don't get Kevin Durant. They did get Marcus Morris. You know, they did squeeze out Marcus Morris out of a deal. You know, it was going to be Marcus Morris from the Boston Celtics was going to go to the, if I remember correctly, the San Antonio Spurs. I think it was like a 2-year, $21 million deal. And then he was like, no, you know, I'll go to New York. And now he's on a 1-year, $15 million deal in New York. So they have him. We all know about the draft pick of R.J. Barrett out of Duke. I think he's going to be a great player. In New York, he's already handling the media extremely well. You know, they had other additions. You know, they added Alfred Payton, Bobby Morris, Julius Randle, which I think is a great steal that they grabbed him, and Taj Gibson. But, you know, they lost Emmanuel Mudiay, Mario Hezonja, DeAndre Jordan, obviously the big name there, and then Noah Vonleh. They lose those guys. But with all that being said, you know, they do go up a little bit in terms of wins this year. They were 17-65 last year. This year I have them at 20-62. I don't have them going anywhere this year. They're staying in the same boat. They need to get more talent. They need to find more. They need to find a way to attract big name players to New York City. And I think I'm just speculating this, but maybe the burnout of Carmelo Anthony in New York maybe had something to do with that. I don't know. I mean, the evolution. I mean, Carmelo had a great number of years there in New York, but he was always underneath the shadow of Miami when they would play against LeBron and Dwayne Wade. He was one of the elite scorers of the game, but it's just maybe that might have something to do with it. I don't know. I think the front office they've poorly managed this team the last couple of years. Phil Jackson hasn't been the greatest. The coaching, I'm not going to blame it on the coaching because when any coach can have a terrible team, but when a coach gets talent and they start winning games, aka Doc Rivers, you know, they had that horrible season, that 24-58 season, the worst season in franchise history in 2006, 2007, and then they acquired Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett in 2007, 2008. And now all of a sudden you got this talent. They go 66-16 and win the title. You know, when a coach actually has talent, then everyone starts to recognize this coach. You know, recognizes the coach, and then all of a sudden they're one of the best coaches in the league. And then if they leave that team, other teams are not going to hesitate on picking him up because they know they have talent, and they're like, oh, he can deal with talent great and stuff like that. So, but all of that being said, that is the end of this first episode here of my 6-part series here with the NBA. Just going over predictions, just going over small analytic stuff here. I didn't want to get too big into this because I thought I would bore you guys to death. You guys would fall asleep. But that's all I have for you guys today. Stay tuned for the next episode on the Central Division with Chicago, the Pistons, the Pacers, all those guys. Milwaukee's in that division. We're not going to talk about Cleveland because we know Cleveland's not going to go nowhere. But stay tuned for that episode. I want to thank you guys for your time. Please comment. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Thumbs up it. Please comment on what you guys think of my predictions for the Atlantic Division this year. But other than that, thank you guys so much for your time, and I will see you guys in the next one. Deuces.